They called him the Diesel.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go.
He leaned across the table and he goes, "You need to get me back there. I'll make you famous."
And Riggins, good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone.
It's Riggo the Diesel.
Hello and welcome to Riggo the Diesel. I am that guy, John Riggins. Good to have you along. Larry Michael, voice of your voice in the Redskins, along with me as always. This is episode 75, Larry, since last year. Must have some kind of commemoration today. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, maybe I got an idea, John. I think maybe a little bit later you and I can partake in some Japanese whiskey. I think maybe we'll do that later in the show. We'll do that later in the show. Maybe
we know somebody that has a bottle of very fine Japanese whiskey. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, virtually we can have that. That's the only caveat. But hey, the draft's coming up, and there's all kinds of stuff happening. We really have a busy show considering the situation, really. And can you imagine a running back getting a $16 million a year contract, John?
That is, I'm telling you that something is wrong, Larry. That, I mean, when you think about it, though, in the big scheme of things, that's still below your left tackle, I would say, quite a bit. Below, I'm going to guess, wide receiver pay or close to it, but below it, below cornerback pay. And years ago, I think basically you were number 2 in line behind the quarterback. So that goes to show you. But it's interesting. I'm with you on this. It's interesting in this day and age, and considering how some teams view the running back position, that a team such as the Carolina Panthers, who are rebuilding this year with a new coach and the whole deal, new quarterback, they got to kind of start over, or at least, pretty much a new quarterback, that they would put that kind of investment into the running back. But he is unique. You have to see him as a unique running back. He isn't a first and second down guy, and he's not a just third down guy. He is a first, second, and third down guy. So maybe that's why you look at it and you go, it's a different take on forming an offense in the 2020 really, or for that season. And you see other guys, Kamara down in New Orleans, another guy that's somewhat similar in that regard, where you can come out of the backfield and do a 3-down back. That's the only thing I can think of, because for the most part, running backs, you plug them in and, you've got a guy that runs first and second down, and you guy that comes in for third down. But when you got one that can do it all, he obviously is a very valuable part of your offense.
He really is. You think about 2,300 yards and the fact that he's got 300 catches. I mean, I don't know if there's been anybody in recent memory who's put those kind of numbers up. I might be forgetting somebody, but let's be honest. I mean, back in the day, who would it have been? I mean, LaDainian Tomlinson had those kind of numbers. Been a lot of great players. We were talking about lofty company.
The guy at St. Louis, and he was in Indianapolis. I can't think of his name. What's his name?
Marshall Faulk in that group.
Because they said there's only 3. Saw somewhere there's only 3 players to have 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing in the same season. He's probably got to be one of them, and maybe the other fellow you just mentioned. I don't know. I can't. Like I said, LaDainian Thompson may have done that.
Yeah, Marshall Faulk, and just imagine what kind of contract you would have commanded. But alas, John. That is not.
Look, Larry, it's like this. I could definitely catch a football, but there's a game, and this goes back to 1978, Giant Stadium. And in those days, I stayed in for all 3 downs. And we were playing the Giants. We were down, and the team, Washington was playing horribly that day. We were kicking the ball all over the place. An interception, and nobody would go try and tackle the guy, and it was just a bad scene. But I'll never forget, I had there was a situation where, and we were maybe going to win the game, and it was a play-action pass, I believe. And so what I was supposed to do is take the fake, go over the middle, and, draw the middle linebacker to me. Well, we must have run that play 50 times in the past 3 years. When I got here in 76, 77, this is now 78. And of all those times, and normally was the case back in those days, you were never a primary receiver. I was never I was never even a secondary receiver. I was probably the last guy you looked for. In fact, I was. And sure enough, Joe Theismann couldn't find anybody. And I'm, past the sticks for a third, because on third down, I'm past the sticks. And he throws me the ball, Larry, and it was right right in the breadbasket, as they say, and it went through my hands right down to the ground. And from that moment on, there's no doubt in my mind, I was nixed from third down. That was it. You out of here. And I never was in on another third down play unless it was a short yardage play. And I look back on it, I said, that must have been where it started, because after that, Clarence Harmon started becoming the third down back, and they'd take me out of the game and bring Clarence in. And I look back on it, but at the same time, I kind of was like, you know, your pride is singed a little bit when that happens. You're going, hey, I can catch a football. I can run a pass route. But at the same time, I'm also looking at the standpoint, but the odds of me getting the ball on any given pass play were pretty remote, and I'm just burning that much more fuel. I only got so much. So I kind of went, I'm not gonna raise a squawk here. I'll come off the field on third down. Hence, then I sat out that season. Joe Gibbs comes back, and he kept it from there. And I never did once go to Joe and say, Joe, I can catch a ball. You might want to think. I just left the status quo as it was, as I normally did.
You had a couple good third down backs back in those days too.
Yeah.
So look on the bright side. Joe Washington, I was the guy I'm thinking of.
And Clarence.
John, yep, Clarence. You look at it the bright side. You did save your body the wear and tear, but I'm thinking that John Riggins on a wheel route or just a swing pass up against a linebacker, to me, that would be big yardage, because you'd have a head of steam. You had a lot of speed, obviously big man. So what you did as a running back would be multiplied as a receiver in some of today's formations, say.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because I got to tell you the truth, based on my own personal experience, in my opinion, I'm not sure that I was equipped to do the kind of things that McCaffrey does. Basically, because he's an interesting guy. I don't know how big he is, but he's not overly, he's kind of more of a scat back type than he is really, he's not going to smoke a lot of people. I'm not saying he can't run over a DB or whatever, but that isn't the way he, makes his bones. My guess is that for me, literally, if you were really being employed the way he is, and it's different for a pass route, I think. But then again, I don't know, because I never had to do it. But if you're involved in that many pass plays and you're not getting the ball, it's just, like I said, it's wear and tear on, you're using just more gas.
Yep.
And, late in the game when you got to actually run the football, which is what you're really actually paid to do. Well, he was paid to catch it too, but I always thought like that might hinder me. So that's why I never really squawked about it. But as I said, he's unique. And he certainly, you look at him, you don't get the idea of a guy that's, carrying too many extra pounds. I mean, he is, what you see that's all muscle. There's nothing left. And I was a little bit, hey, I had to run short yardage.
You were a big guy. Now, I guess I don't have his numbers in front of me. He's probably like 5'11", 215, right? I mean,
exactly.
Somewhere around there. Hey, John, I want to take care of some business here. Now more than ever, it's important to keep your car ready for anything. At your local Honda dealer service department, you're in safe hands. Safe hands that are expertly trained using only Honda genuine parts. Safe hands that'll take every precaution to keep your car clean and sanitized. Safe hands that follow strict CDC guidelines, working with gloves, covering all commonly touched surfaces with plastic. Best of all, safe hands that will work on any make and model, because with Honda, you and your car are in safe hands. Contact your local Honda dealer for more information.
I would ask everybody to just take a look at my hat right here. What's it say, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, O'Connor Plumbing. Right now, obviously, we're all going through tough times, and unfortunately, it may get tougher as we come out of the lockdown, financially speaking. And O'Connor Plumbing understands that. But I will say this, your plumbing system is basically the heart of your house. It can't be ignored. And O'Connor Plumbing realizes that. What they're willing to do now, they have some financing options that you really need to check into if you do need any plumbing work. You've got stuff like 6 months, no payments for 6 months. They'll give you a 10% discount. They'll waive their inspection fee. There's a lot of things going on with O'Connor Plumbing that if you need plumbing work, you really owe it to yourself to give them a call at 1-833-RIGGO-44. O'Connor Plumbing, just give them a call if you have any issues with your plumbing. Hey, it's just a phone call. You can just hang up in the middle of it if you're not satisfied. But the point being is I don't think you will be. You'll be very glad you made this phone call. They're going to work with you if you have anything to do. O'Connor Plumbing, 1-833-RIGGO-44.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand back and watch the Phoenix rise from the ashes.
Stand back. It's Riggo the Diesel.
You know, here's something I wanted to discuss a little bit with the draft itself, Larry. I think you have, I mean, I've read the way this thing's going to go down, but I think you would probably have a better understanding. And I'm wondering, I know that Goodell's going to do, you know, he's in Westchester County, and he's going to do the draft from his home, as we've seen a lot of the, and I don't say a lot, but take, for example, I believe that the, you know, Democratic presidential, more than likely nominee, Joe Biden, he's doing a lot of his stuff from his house. I'm going to guess it's going to be along those same lines. ESPN is going to do the main part of the broadcast, but you kind of give us an idea of how draft day or draft night, I should, is going to go. And I want to, well, go ahead and answer that question. I got a couple more for you.
I guess the easiest way to put it is the draft is going to be coming from 32 locations, and the announcements of the picks are going to be coming from one location. And somehow this is going to get interconnected electronically. And of course, the networks, ESPN and NFL Network, will carry the draft. So, for instance, 32 head coaches are going to be in their homes. Ron Rivera had told me that on the air, and they're getting set up with whatever, you know, Wi-Fi boosters, whatever kind of internet support, more so than as we're taping this from your house and my house. You probably have huge Wi-Fi in your house or all kinds of. You got a big pipe at your house, I guess. Here, you know, I got a little router. So
I don't think we got much more, honestly, Larry, because we were just. I was the one we were waiting on to get to do the show today. So,
so each of the 32 NFL head coaches will have that set up, and also the front office executives will have that set up. I don't know how many of these there's going to be, but I would think it's a limited number with each team, because the more people you have involved, the more confusing it'll be. Maybe a core group of executives and the coach, and you'll be on the clock. You'll be running your clock. Maybe there's clocks that are going to get synced up. I would think that's what they're going to do. And then the draft will go on as scheduled. The pick will go in as scheduled. I don't know if there's going to be any allowance for any kind of technical difficulty, which I think I heard about. Mm-hmm. It makes sense that they'd have something like that to be on a level playing field. But from there, the draft is supposed to roll on like it normally would. And Roger Goodell, from his basement, I understand, will make the announcement. I'm sure he's got some kind of nice internet in his house. And that's the way it's going to go. And I think if the preparation is right, the only issue could be maybe some kind of tech issue, which I'm sure they'll figure out, or they'll have backup. They'll have redundancy to their tech paths for sure. So, you know, you're going to have your board. It's going to be in your house right here. And you're going to be on a conference call with your guys, and it comes time, you know, coach, we want X. So coach probably has a open line, but there's probably going to be open lines, because I'm one of the people, if you have an old-fashioned phone line in the wall, there's a lot you can do. You can get multiple lines in there nowadays. So
you mean multiple online services through your phone?
No,
line?
just if you have a phone line, which I have an old-fashioned plug-in-the-wall phone line. But because of my provider, I've got something downstairs that allows me to do more than I'm ever going to use. I don't use the hardwire phone anymore.
Right.
Nobody does really, but I have it. So, you know, if I needed it, I have it. So, you know, I guess, you know, unless something comes down with trades, and I asked the coach about that too, you know, what happens if there's a trade? And he's not, the way he sounded, he's not going to be patient to have something go wrong for him, waiting for somebody to call him, or waiting. Because, you know, they say, I'll call you back because I'm going to offer you X, and I got a minute to make my pick. Am I going to wait until I hear back from that guy? I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know enough about the technical side, but I think it's extremely interesting that it's going to be this way. And the Redskins got 7 picks.
Well, a couple of things. One is, I believe they're going to rehearse this. All the teams will rehearse this before Thursday night, so they'll get a run through to see just exactly how it goes.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
That's what I was thinking. Now, I'm wondering too, you know, let's just take Redskins and their crew. Do you have any idea? In other words, will they be like what we're doing? Will Ron Rivera have all the people that are going to be in his war room? Will they be on Zoom on one computer where they can talk like we're talking?
I think. I mean, I don't know if it would be Zoom. I mean, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
And then there'll be another computer perhaps where he's in touch with the league. And I mean, is that where the commissioner is? I mean, that's the part. And like you brought up a great point about a trade. if you're sitting there waiting, because what happens if you're not ready to go, you drop. So the Washington, if they didn't have their pick ready in time, they would drop to number 3 until you got it all together. You get back in line as soon as you get your stuff together. And it happened a few years ago. I read this where people lost their draft pick and they fell down a couple of picks anyway before they got back on the board. So a lot of moving parts there, which makes me wonder, because it is so unusual. I mean, just what you were talking about, how much forgiveness is in the system? In other words, are they really?
Well, you want to be fair, don't you? You want to be fair. You got to be fair to everybody.
Right.
But it's not like it usually is. So it'll be interesting. I think it's extremely interesting, to figure out how all this is going to take place. And I think the league's done a great job so far trying to stay ahead of all the plans. I mean, free agency came and went despite the quarantine, despite the situation, and it went pretty good, I think. I mean, things went well for all the teams who got what they wanted. Redskins got a lot of good players. So, if this is a little bit of a bigger challenge because you're on the clock, that to me is a factor that every team will be on the clock. So, the pressure kind of builds a little bit on a normal draft. So I think in this situation, your preparation, you got to believe in your preparation. You got to have that board figure out. You got to have backups. If you got all that, there's nothing to worry about.
Well, let's then take it a step further, because all of a sudden my curiosity was piqued this morning when I got to reading in some of these places where they're having their mock drafts, because the draft is 9 days away, basically a week from this Thursday night. The draft will take place, and some of the mock drafts are showing that Chase Young is possibly going to be. Let me rephrase that. He could be the first pick overall, because he's being graded now as what they call it, the top. In other words, the highest graded talent in the draft this year. A lot of teams are saying even that he's ahead of Joe Burrows, who everybody suspects is going to go to Cincinnati as the number 1 round pick. But because of his unusual status as a potential draft pick, that he now is seen by some people, in the event that he was gone. And what do you think? I mean, how do you have any inclination, then all of a sudden either Joe Burrows appears, or do you think then that would I would think right now, the way things look, because it's just too good to be true, that Washington could that Chase Young is going to fall in their lap. That I'm always kind of like looking at but what if, what if? It's like you go in for heart surgery, you want to ask the doctor, okay, if something happens to you, who's the guy that takes over once you go down? What's my backup plan here?
You need to back up to the backup on that one. So, it's like, but you know what? Hey, you can't predict what's going to happen. I think in this sense that you have to look at what teams need and what teams have, and what type of systems they're running, and all that goes into it. And I think also know that, going back to where you really can't believe anything you read or hear about the draft, especially the closer the draft comes, the more unbelievable the stories get, because people are out there fishing, John. They're out there throwing their bait, seeing if they're going to get a couple bites. Hey, what if this? What if that? And I think you just can't predict what's going to happen. But I would be surprised if that happened. It could anything could happen. I mean, heck, anything could happen. But more misinformation coming out now than information. And what's really interesting is these players are all going to get drafted. Then what's going to happen to all these players? Where are they going to go? How are they going to learn these systems? How are you going to get up to speed on what you need to learn as a pro football player when you're not really able to do that until a time a little bit later? In fact, I'm going to take care of some business. And you wanted to talk about the virtual workouts.
That's what we want to get into, the virtual workouts. I'm dying to know how that works.
We'll get up to that. Whether on the sidelines or in the classroom, whether your chalkboard is full of X's and O's or vocab words, whether you're a pro football coach or Mrs. Johnson at George Mason High School, the Washington Redskins believe in the power of great teachers. That's why we're partnering with youth entrepreneurs to bring Washington, D.C. teachers the resources they deserve. In response to the coronavirus pandemic, Youth Entrepreneurs has launched Teach Everywhere, a place for teachers to call home. While adjusting to teaching at home, the resource contains distance learning activities, resources and tools, and a series of webinars from expert educators. Visit teacheverywhere.org to learn more. And this is incredible that Youth Entrepreneurs, this is what they're all about. This is at the heart of what they do. And for them to kind of morph in this direction during this quarantine, it's really a great service they're providing the teachers. Great job by youth entrepreneurs. Also coming up, join us for the first of its kind 3-day live stream event made just for Redskins fans, presented by 7-Eleven. It's an exclusive stream, live coverage of the NFL Draft on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, beginning on Thursday and Friday, April 23rd and 24th. Then the big show Saturday night at 6 o'clock, a cast of thousands presented by 7-Eleven. And sign up for FanDuel now and get $5 in total bonuses. All you got to do is make your first deposit to get started, and you'll get an extra $5 in site credit. Go to FanDuel.com/FFT or download the FanDuel app. And you know what, John? I understand that you can bet on The Bachelor on FanDuel. I asked the question, with all the games, not happening, hey, Bachelor gets a lot of play on FanDuel. Who do you like in The Bachelor, John?
Me. No, I don't, Larry. You're way over my head right now.
I don't know either. I don't know.
I have no clue who The Bachelor is or what it is.
I don't watch The Bachelor. It's a TV show where they get 20 beautiful ladies and one guy who is looking for love, and they do The Bachelorette, which I guess is one lady and 20 guys, and they kind of do like vote them off the island type of thing until the two lovebirds are left at the end. I'm sure the ladies of your house, John, would be able to explain to you what The Bachelor is.
Oh, I'm sure that's true. I never thought of that. Well, yeah, now they say yes to the dress, that kind of stuff,
Yeah, same kind of thing. I got you.
You're right. I'll check with them and see what they got going on.
I'm not a big Bachelor guy.
Hey, I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
Who's bored? Who's broke? And who's back?
I wanted to always see the redwoods. I wanted to see the Rocky Mountains. I wanted to see the Painted Desert, the Petrified Forest, the Grand Canyon. That was like the land that I always wanted to go to.
John Riggins.
Let's get down to business here. The NFL and the NFLPA have come to terms on this odd situation they find themselves in as to how do teams prepare for the 2020 season, when normally they would be working out right now, I would think, doing OTAs. Some of the people with new coaches, Washington being one of them, would be able to have an extra mini camp, or they able to do, I think. But none of that's going to happen. So now they've got to where you're being virtually coached, which includes a lot of things. This part I understand. Virtual meetings, I get that. That would be easy enough to do. But I don't know how does a virtual workout, how is that supposed to work? Can you help me with that?
I can tell you this. The best, from what I can tell you, and I've talked to all the Redskins free agents that got signed. I got a chance to do interviews with them, and I asked them all, what are you going to do to work out? How are you going to work out? And some of the guys don't have workout equipment. All their gyms are closed. So you got different people, different strokes for different folks. Logan Thomas, who's a tight end, who's got a lot of potential. I like that signing a lot. He's got a gym at home. He's got weights at home. So he's going to have to lift. He's got 5 kids, so he's going to be chasing them. But a guy like Peyton Barber, ask him, he doesn't have a gym. He's going to work out in the backyard. He's going to run. And I think you're going old school push-ups, sit-ups, chin-ups, and try to put a program together. I know the Redskins strength and conditioning staff is really state-of-the-art on top of things. So they've been preparing for this. And I'm sure they have a plan in place regardless of the type of equipment you have in your house. But like they say, nothing like football shape. They won't be wearing any pads. I guess this portion of what's been agreed to lasts until May the 15th, at which point maybe some other edict's going to come out about what happens from then up until camp, which would be another window. Now the players would have finished their OTAs middle or end of May, would have had a couple mini camps in June, then it would have left and returned to training camp at the end of July. So you got that window from May 15th to maybe the middle or end of June to figure out if there's anything more you can do. And we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, but what I saw and I thought I read, I got the impression that a coach would be involved with the virtual workout, but that really can't be a possibility because you got, like I said, I don't know how you would, the only thing I understand is that obviously I'm thinking they could show game film. I'm guessing that they can show game film and with the net. the
Well,
nomenclature.
they'd send that to, they would send that. They would send the game film. They'd send the game film out to you. You get the game film, and you get it on your tablet, because they all got a tablet. They all got something,
That's their
electronic
playbook,
tablet.
right?
That's their playbook, and you can send that electronically. So I could send you an email, I guess, and send you a video, and it'd have all the download of all the plays, and it automatically downloads. That's the easy part, I think. I really do think the strength and conditioning part of it is an unknown frontier, because of the fact that each guy is in a different situation. Have you been watching? I've been watching some of these guys playing horse basketball, some of these NBA players. It's pretty interesting. Some guys got a hoop that's worse than mine in my backyard. Some guys got a full basketball court in his backyard.
Right.
So there's such differences in what these guys have. What if you lived in an apartment, and your apartment, and some of these guys live in apartments, and your apartment complex's weight room is closed?
Right.
So, it's you got to find a way. What do? Fill up a couple gallons of water and just do curls, John?
Well, water would work, but it'd be better with beer, and then you can drink your weight after you're done. Yeah, that to me, honestly, I would look at it from the standpoint. I think guys that, and I don't know enough about it to, from a kinesiological standpoint, but if you can't, the guys that have the horsepower to begin with, the guys that aren't made in the weight room, they'll be fine, I think. Maybe a guy that feels like, that he has to maintain his strength, maintain a certain size, that he needs to
linemen, you got to keep your weight up. You need to lift that heavy weight. Hard to duplicate that without somebody spotting you at home.
Exactly. It could be a problem a little bit.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll take off. I don't have.
Where's that Japanese whiskey?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Who's got it? I think it's Mr. Todd, the T-Cat.
But he's not with you. He's not with me. He is also quarantined by himself.
There he is. T-Cat.
Well,
a nice bottle of Japanese coffee grounds is what it is, basically. I don't know.
He might have opened that. He might have already opened that bottle, John.
I think the top was still on there, wasn't it? Yeah, he would have. Well, maybe.
He's not responding to your call.
I can't see it. Yeah, he is.
He's not there. He
must be gargling.
This is happy hour.
Here he is.
We do a happy hour.
Okay. He
Virtual.
is there.
Virtual happy hour.
Virtual happy hour. All right. That's good enough, Todd. I know you're not sharing, so we'll talk to you later.
Let me say this, Larry, before I let you run. I've kind of, it's kind of interesting. Everybody's having a different experience, because literally, if there was ever that movie Groundhog Day made sense, I think we're living it right now, which is kind of hard to imagine. I can't. There's no way we can really. I don't think anybody should really be complaining about anything. And the reason I say that is because, and every situation is different, but I don't think that this is comparable, at least not yet, to going through the Great Depression as people did back in the 30s. I don't think, and before that, even, what going through a world war was like, with World War I and then World War II in the 40s. So I don't think we're there, but it's a unique situation. And, I feel like I'm very fortunate because, I've got, everybody's at home. I've got my two daughters and my wife is here, and we've been here for the whole time. And so far, I have to say that we haven't gotten like chickens. What happens with chickens, if you get them too close together for too long a time, they turn cannibalistic. I don't know if you knew that. So far, there's no cannibals in the house.
Not yet.
How about your place? Are you good?
Well, there's some tense moments, but things are good. Things actually, you know what? It's funny how you adapt, and we're living through a new chapter of American history, a new chapter of world history. This is obviously going to be remembered for time immemorial, and we're going to get through it. And you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about the people around you and who you depend on during times like this. And so I think it's been an impressive, show of human nature in a lot of regards to see people doing what they're doing. I think it's encouraging to some, and I just can't wait for it to be over so we can open up things a little bit and get back to what will be a new normal, but at least it won't be Groundhog's Day.
Well, and to that, I think that what I'm reading today in the paper, that we're getting to a point where people are getting to, like antsy before a race, that type of deal, before a game, where I get the feeling between the governors and the president, there's going to be a little bit of dribs and drabs of the economy starting to come back up online, if you will. So,
Yep.
Like you said, we'll get through it. I don't know, can we see any light at the end of the tunnel? I don't know. I guess I can, but it's not real faint right now. But who knows? In 48 hours, who knows? It could get a whole lot better. Another week. I mean, I think everybody has the fortitude and what it takes to get through this. So far, we don't have any food shortages, and I think ultimately that's where it would really get to be a real test, and that's not happening as of yet.
All right, John, appreciate you. And you know what? Let's do it again next week.
Okay, see you next week, Larry. Thanks. And we'll have a pre-draft special. You'll have it all figured out by then, Larry.
Yes, sir.
Dear customer service, I can always count on Novak. My power is always on, my payments always go through, and Novak actually cares about the community they serve.
Dear Novak, your electric costs are reasonable. Some electricity is from alternative sources, and cost reductions are passed along during the year. Thanks.
Novak, power you can count on.
As our nation battles COVID-19, every job in a medical facility is critical. Join the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, housekeeping, food service, supply techs, and other support staff. These people help save lives in medical centers, outpatient clinics, and community living centers. We're hiring in every state, and we've made the process faster. Will you join us on the front line? Visit va.gov/join us to find out how.
Work is work, but there's nothing like a good workout. Tennis, mountain biking, a good run, sweating off the week. That's what weekends are for. Of course, a misstep could put you out of commission. That's why Innova Sports Medicine is here for you. We treat your injuries and recovery like you're a pro. In fact, Innova is the official sports medicine partner of the Washington Redskins. See how we keep you on top of your game at innovasports.org.